Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Sunday night live show after completion of round 3. And I think for some of us, it was a much better round. For some of us, there was a couple more issues to deal with, which is the nature of AFL Fantasy this year. But that is what we're going with. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me is just one of our AFL Fantasy Fanatics, because it seems to be everyone's busy on Sunday night tonight. It is Tom, mate. Tom, how are you? How was the weekend? You'd be pretty up and about. Eagles, another win.
Oh, we are flying. With 2 in a row, in the finals positions. Stop the count now. Let's play finals. Ahead of those frauds, Brisbane and GWS and Adelaide. Absolute frauds. We are it. We are beating 2 of the best sides in the comp in North and Port. They're obviously going to make finals, both of those. Let's not talk about fantasy. Let's just talk about how good the Eagles are.
Well, unfortunately, this is called the Round 3 review for AFL Fantasy. So, unfortunately, it's not the Round 3 West Coast Eagles review. We might have to do one because you're pretty up and about with your Eagles, mate. But nicely done there. And jumping on once again with us is a good friend of the show from the Contest Fantasy Footy Show. It is Jesse. Jesse, mate, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on board. It's been a little while since I jumped on the pod with you, but really, really excited to be back. So we'll have to get you on ours too. It was a hectic round. It was up, it was down, and it was until that last final game I thought I've gotten it together. And then Max Gawn happened, and then Caleb Windsor happened, and Jack Steele happened, and it all fell to pieces once again. So stoked to be here, happy to live in pain all over again.
Yeah. Exactly right. And jumping on, it's been a while since we've had him on the pod, but good to have him back on. It's 2024 AFL Fantasy Classic Champion. It is Chris. Chris, mate, welcome back to the show, mate. How are you? How's the season started for you?
Thanks, Bales. The season's been interesting. Dealing with the injuries that everyone else seems to have, and also benefiting from not being able to do luxury trades. So after round 1, I was like, oh, I think I've made a mistake with Jack Steele. And then the last 2 weeks, look what he's done. Caleb Windsor would definitely have gone out of my team this week. So getting a 96 was pretty nice. But it will be interesting coming into round 5 in another round's time to see who's been swimming naked and who's been definitely making the most of the best 18s. So I think that'll definitely be my trade plans this week, will be make sure that I can come out of the best 18s with a serviceable team, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a very good point. That it's going to be interesting to see how teams shape up once this. We've got one more bye round to go, round 4, which is, I guess, the easier one with the fact that it's just the Giants and Saints on the bye. But, hopefully your team is in good order. Let's go through how our weeks went and our scores and ranks, and then we'll go through our awards in a little bit. But, Chris, we'll start with you. How did you go this week? What was your score, your round rank, and where are you sitting with your overall rank now?
So I scored 1853, which got me 9,500 for the round, and I am 6,165 overall. So it's not too bad. Quick look, I think I'm about 300 points off the leader so far. So it's not getting on yet. My trade-ins were Sheasel and Dacos, the Josh variety, unfortunately, not Nick. So pretty happy with both of those guys. LDU probably was the player that would get my vote, though. Definitely backing him this season. 125 this week is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good unique because he's a couple of 9s to start, but then a 120, which is very, very good to reward you. That is for sure. Jesse, how did you go in round 3? What was your score, round rank, and overall rank?
So my round 3 score was an 1814 for a round 3 rank of 17,487 and an overall rank of 33,820. So pretty bleak, but I did climb the ranks by a considerable amount. So it's been a slow start. We'll get it together.
I think it's been a slow start for a lot of people, unless you're in the current in the top, so a couple of thousand. So I think it's been a tough start, but mate, as long as you move in the right direction, that is the main thing. Well, that's what I'm telling myself anyway. Tom, how'd you go in round 3? Your score, round rank, and overall rank?
if that was bleak, then my 1773 is even more bleak. That's a round rank of 32,700, and my overall rank hasn't really moved. It's about 21,000. I'm actually not that upset with the week. Having to hope a tracker through, having had 5 red dots, I'm quite happy. My team's in okay position. Banked some cash this week. I was the only person not to have cash going into this week, so I'd banked some cash ready to really attack the next 4 trades before best 22. Get out on the other side with a team in good order. So I'm actually not too upset with it.
Yeah, no, nicely done, mate. And I'm glad to top score on the pod first time this season, which is very nice. But 1856 got you, Chris, by just the one kick there. Yeah, much better week. Round rank of 8,959, and that brings me into 24,476. So up nearly 20,000 spots, which is really exciting. But Tom, you said that you scored about 1770, and I scored only about 80 points more. There was 20-something thousand coaches in between that for this week. So a lot of coaches in between that 750 and probably 18, sort of 60, 70 range. So a lot of people close together. So I think we're still going to be big rank movements next couple of weeks, and when we get the best 22, because we're all still together.
Best 18 is so bunched. You can't really differentiate yourself unless you're nailing all of the top premiums who are going really well, and not getting the ones that maybe get a 60 or a 70. We'll talk about a few this week. Then you're not really going to be able to differentiate yourself. When you get to 22 players, bad scores aren't dropping off. That's when you can really make the big rank jumps. So it's just all getting that team in position, ready to attack that best 22.
Yeah, yes, exactly right. Now let's go through our plus and minus threes. And Chris, we'll go back to you. I think you alluded a bit to who gets your plus 3, but who does get that, and then your -3 as well.
Definitely +3 to LDU. I think, especially as he is a bit of a unique for me. I'm pretty happy with that. I think where is he? 5% ownership, so it's not too much, but there you go. And -3 would be, looking at this little rabble. Probably Tannerbrunn, maybe. I think I can't expect him to get 80s the whole time, but I think 53 is pretty low.
Yeah, nice. I think that the broken nose certainly did look too pretty, but 53 with low tog again. He might be someone that might maybe in a week or two could become an issue. And if you're in a really good position, maybe do look at moving on from him if you can and get ahead there. But yeah, a low one there to kickstart us off on the round is not what we wanted to see. Jesse, your plus and -3?
Yeah, my +3 was also LDU. Super stoked to have him in my team.
Two owners of LDU on here.
Yeah. And I wasn't even on the LDU train until my co-host talked me into him pre-season and then didn't start him. So thanks, K-Man. Look, I'll give it to Jacos, though, because Chris has already used LDU. So I was pretty high on Jacos pre-season. Wish I'd started him, but brought him in for a 120, even though I didn't get the NACOS 140. Can't be unhappy with some junk time +6s to boost that score just a little bit.
And getting injured
my
at the
negative
start as well. That was the other thing, right?
And getting injured.
Hardly played the first quarter.
He's like the Undertaker. He just got back up again. It was fantastic. I was a bit annoyed at the rotations, though. I think there was one point where the ball was in their defensive 50 for like 10 minutes straight. And I just thought, this is 20 points for Jacos, and he's on the bench the whole time. But anyway,
that was an issue. I think that was an issue. I think that's actually a big issue this round. There are a lot of players got stuck on the bench for 8, 9, 10, 11 minutes, which was frustrating. But yeah, you -3.
Definitely wasn't just him. Yeah. Caleb Windsor, for waiting until the round I trade him out to actually do something.
I agree with that.
I could give it to Devin Robertson, but I'm more upset with Caleb Windsor for just stringing me along like that. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, very, very frustrating. Tom, your plus and -3.
Okay, I'm gonna give my +3 to somebody who is 100% owned in the top 1%. But he has been my captain for 2 weeks in a row, and that is Harry Sheasel, for doing what premiums should do against rubbish teams. Go and average 127 in the first 3 weeks, Harry. Be a captain option. Actually, start someone priced at 1.1 million and actually doing what we paid up for them to do in my side. Many people have Dacos, Nick Wright, who's also done something similar. But for Harry to do that for me, just shows how well the rest of my team went. That has to be my +3. My -3, I'm good, and this is quite harsh. I'm going to give it to Marcus Windhager. He got 78, and and this is all more on me for my decision making in round 1 to bring him in and not bank cash. He came in for, I think, Willem Dersma, and that decision has gained me no points and cost me a lot of money and given me someone else to deal with this week. He's not done badly. He averaged about 80, but he's wanting that little bit more from that. Want a little bit more. So that's a failed mid-price pick for me, and means I've got someone else to deal with that I probably shouldn't have to deal with if I went with that good rookie that is Willem Dersma from the Mighty Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. My plus and -3. I've got to give a special mention to Jaxie, who I did give the +3 to last week, and Colin McKercher as well, which we'll talk about him very, very soon. But my +3 was home for a big ceiling score from him. Lockie Whitfield, 129. I took the gamble of jumping on a print that had a bye next week. And I could hear people out there going, "Why'd you bring in a print? It's got a bye next week." I only had Flens on bye next week. I didn't own Ash or Sinclair or any of those. So I thought, yeah, I could do this. And I didn't love any other value, which I thought Whitfield was a couple of points of value. So really happy to get that score there before his bye, so it doesn't hurt me too much. But J-Cost being pretty close was also a little bit frustrating as someone that jumped on Whitfield. -3, I don't normally give it to rookies, but I'm giving it to Dev Rob. And the reason is because he started well. First 2 weeks was great, right? But dropping a 40 and likely getting a suspension because of the dangerous, if anyone saw it, dangerous tackle on Butters, slung him to the ground. I think it's a week he'll cop there, particularly when we're going to miss Flanders. Some people may have just got a Filippo. It's going to be maybe Gothard there as well. We needed all the numbers in the forward line this week, so just a bit frustrating that he's going to likely cop a suspension there as well. On we move to the Content Creators Cup, and I was happy, 3rd top scorer. Of course, I played the top scorer this week, which is Jordox, 1888 for him. Really frustrating. And I didn't mention my -3 definitely goes to Caleb Windsor, because that guy, I could have used more colourful language there. That guy decided to football in 1 quarter, get a 96 and cost me the win. I thought I was going to win at halftime, and then not to be, unfortunately, there. Tom, you're up against Louis. How did you go?
Yeah, despite my team not going well against the rest of the fantasy landscape, my team is going very well in the Content Creators Cup. The third victory in a row for me, unbeaten start. So I beat Louis 1773 to 1708, which just means 3-0 joint top with another AFL Fantasy Fanatic. It's been a good start in that mini league for me.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to take us through, Tom, as well, the rest of the matchups?
Yeah, so Holmesy had a strong win over Vams, 1805 to 1734. Guesty had a nice win over Luke from the Ball Boys, 1763 to 1677. DT Lemon got a tight victory, 5-point win over DC, breaking DC's unbeaten run. Mitch from the Ball Boys had a really good score, 1847, had a nice win over, who is that? I love
MJ,
the website.
MJ.
I love how it doesn't put the coaches underneath their
it's got team
underneath the team names. Jordy had a really good win over Minimonk, 1791 to 1731. The viewer actually top scored.
Mohammed. Yeah, sorry, he top scored by 2 points. Sorry, I was
1890. Really nice score. Had a good win over Nathan, who scored 1815. Jeppa had a nice win over Harmy, 1825 to 1811. And Taezer, who is also unbeaten, had a great win over Jake from Hatchat, 1849 to 1816. So that is Content Creators Cup.
Yep,
2 unbeaten.
Yeah, so guess he's made a mistake adding you two in, that's for sure. But yes, the Content Creators Cup is brought to you by Infinite Wealth. Make sure you guys do head to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy. And I'm sure Guesty's got some good things over there for you. And if you were in Perth today and went to the seminar that Guesty was holding, hope you guys did enjoy that one. But yeah, let's get into our games. and sponsored by our good friends at Game Day Squad, who are a major sponsor for the season. And even though if you could be struggling in AFL Fantasy, the good thing is Game Day Squad is a weekly platform where you can set your lineup every week, make unlimited moves, and you can win cash prizes. You can win packs to get more players, build your club. It's the ultimate dynasty platform. So make sure you go over to gamedaysquad.com.au and use the code BAILSDT at sign up, and you get yourself some free packs to get your Game Day Squad journey started, along with the IPL starting last night as well. So if anyone is a cricket fan and wants to play another sport on the platform, you can go over and get involved in that there as well. Alrighty, let's get into these games. So we'll go and start off on Thursday night in the game that was Geelong and Adelaide, with another late call going against the Adelaide Crows. But this isn't the Crows pod. This is the Fantasy pod. I could have go for an hour about that. But Bailey Smith, 154. Is now it's back-to-back massive scores for him. So he is going on very nicely. If you did trade in, remember, some of it wasn't spoken about a whole lot last week, but if you did jump on, you'd be very, very happy. I know, shout out to Zay from, obviously, with Selb there. VC on Baz, bringing him on a Thursday. Unbelievable. So nicely done there from Zave as well. And then also, shout out to Jordox. He only won the Content Crowds Cup that brought in Grind Myers for a 123. I think he had like 7 tackles of his 8 in the last quarter to rack up that massive score there. He was very, very good. But Chris, the first player we'll chat about, Josh Rochelle, 114. Best game I've seen him play. I think that was the best he's looked. He played in the mid. Dawson out, took that extra responsibility. Do you think that he's going to be priced, I think, towards 800K now? Dawson probably back next week. Do you still think Rochelle's a guy to jump on? Do you think that he's earned, I guess, a big slice of that pie in that CBA rotation?
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because, yeah, exactly. The first game that Dawson's out, he goes well. Do you back him in again, or do you assume he's not going to do it? It's interesting as well. Rankin, I think, on the opposite end of that was, what was it?
21.
So he got 21 points in the end. So
tagged by Mullen.
Yeah, so you wouldn't tag Rochelle, so you'd hope that would be a good option. But yeah, it was one of those things where my trades this week, I needed to get a forward to replace Petraka. There's no way I would have thought Rochelle was going to do what he did, but it would have been a perfect one because you'd make some cash and actually get a good score straight away. So I don't think I would expect him to do it every week. And I'd probably give him another. I mean, if you look at what he got the first week, so he got 98 and a 70. So I think 85, 90 is maybe where he could be, which means he's probably at the right price with being 800.
Yeah.
The forwards drop off pretty quickly in terms of what we've got. I mean, I've gambled with a Jack Ross, for example. So I think they're in the similar areas with Jack Rochelle. So I think if you're going to have to put up with a stinker as well as you're probably going to get a good one from him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think if you did hold like a Petrarca this week and didn't move, I think that could be a move you do look at. Your bank, maybe a little bit of money there as well, and you get a guy that could be pretty good, at least close to those top 6 forwards or sort of right on the heels there as well. A couple of good scores here as well for Max Holmes and bloody Tom Stewart. Who would have thought he would have been the option to jump on this week? That is just, quite funny how that happened there. Sean Manor with a 98 as well. He was good. Lockie McAndrew, really good score there with a 92, rewarding those that still kept him as that R2. Brady Cook as well. Very, very good third quarter to get himself to 83, so making some really nice cash there as well. Jesse, Wayne Miller, 68. A lot of people frustrated now. It's back-to-back poor scores, just not getting that usage there. Again, if you got luxury of trading him out, is that something that you'd be thinking about after a couple of back-to-back tougher scores? Where would you sit with Miller?
Oh, it's pure pain, isn't it? I mean, I'm lucky because I didn't get an opportunity to really trade him in. I had so many areas that I needed to fix up myself, and my co-host traded him in, and that's a bit frustrating. I'd probably be looking to get out from under him if I could, because now his break even is starting to really approach around about what he's scoring. But so many teams have other problems. Like so many of us, we have a Darcy Parish that we got to sort out. Everyone's got a Blackiston, although Blackiston maybe it's sort of given himself a little bit of room to move with his 70 that he scored this week. So it probably just depends how many issues you've got. Yeah, and you're holding a Petrarca. So like for a lot of us, I mean, that's for myself and K-Man, we're both holding a track through this week. So we got to deal with that so that we don't get knocked down with another injury. So I reckon you're probably, a lot of people who have him are probably holding him, hoping that those, that role comes back and it kind of sorts itself out. It almost seems like Worrell's the guy that you wanted from the Adelaide backline this year, which I wouldn't have seen coming. But Miller is a tricky one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you've got the luxury, you could move along with Tanner Bruhn with a 53. Just don't love that low tog, so just something to be watching out for moving forward. But I guess that nose injury did affect things to start with. Collingwood GWS on the Friday night was the next game there. Now, Tom, I think the question everyone is going to be asking that doesn't own Nick Dacos, 140, another massive score again, is paying $1.2 million, and he's going to be, I think that from what I saw on socials, the magic number is going to drop again. So he's going to be priced at about 124, 125. But he's looking incredible. What do we do? Do we just break the bank to get him, or is it still got to hold strong if you don't have him and just keep looking for some value where you can? Or is this year different?
Oh, and this is where I'm at. I think the games, Collingwood's game style is shifted dramatically. We've now got a 3-game sample size. They are taking a hell of a lot more marks than they ever have. If there is a lot more marks on available, we know that Dacos is happy to run back into D50 to take those 15-meter 45 kicks and get those really, really easy +6s. He took, I say that, he only took 4 marks for that score and kicked 2 goals.
There were probably 2 or 3 that were called too short, like not 15. So that could have been 6 or 7.
Like, you can definitely do it. It's definitely on my radar. My one word of caution, this is what I've got to weigh up, I think he's obviously going to be top 2, top 3 player in the competition this year, not just midfield at any position, if not top 1, is spending 1.2 million for him now going to stop you from upgrading that rookie down the line? Is that going to mean you have to start shopping in the mid-price areas during upgrade season rather than being able to get those underpriced premiums, which we want to bring in to really catapult our scoring up? So if we take a 200k haircut now, does that mean we can get a distinctly better player in next week or the week after, which improves our side dramatically? If there isn't anyone in that area to get, though, which I didn't think there was this week, LDU might have been the guy. I didn't think there was that guy this week of that around that $1 million region that was really jumping out as a distinct option. If there isn't anyone there this week, then you just got to go and get the guy you're not going to have to trade again, injury to the side. And I can't tell you don't go and get Dacos.
Yeah. Well, I've pretty much said, I said on Friday night, because I did a watch long for that game, I'm not doing any more Collingwood watch longs until I own Nick Dacos. I'll refuse to do it, and I'll do another game because I just can't do it to myself. But Chris and Jesse, I want to get your boys' thoughts as well, because I think this is what a lot of the competition will be asking. Are we paying so much money for a player? Because in the past, we've had guys like Tom Mitchell, Tom Rockcliffe, Brodie Grundy, and Dane Swan, guys like this that average 120 odd for the year and just become impossible to get in unless you start him or bring him in early. Not saying Dallas is going to average 125, but looks like he's going to go 115 plus. Chris, could you pay up this far up, or do you just have to hope that he cops a tag or two maybe this week against Brisbane, and you just wait for him to come down in price?
Absolutely. I think you've got to hope he gets tagged. I mean, I'm looking at my team right now. Like, it would have to be a restructure, and it would have to be a decent player down to a rookie to get him. Which, if you got, I think as Tom says something, if you can guarantee you get the points on the other side, then. But if it cooks your team just to get a player in, I don't think you shouldn't be. I think it will be a painful watching him get 120 every week. I'll go back to 2024 and show that I didn't get Max Gawn, and so I watched him get 120s every week. But I backed in that the other players that I had were making up the gap. So even though I'd save the coin elsewhere to put on better players. So I think you're going to have to get out and go, you know what, I've missed Nick Dacos, and I'm going to have to now find what's my other way. So if LDU, for example, if he goes at 105 for the rest of the season, I'll have made a fair bit there on the price I got him to start with, and be able to put that on other players.
Yeah,
What do you think, Jesse?
exactly.
Yeah, look, I think I mirror those thoughts. We talked about it this week a lot ourselves, and I was this close to getting Nakos in, could have done it, but I just kind of felt like if I do it now, then I'm with you. I'm having to restructure my team in order to get him in, and I feel like by not getting him in this week, I'd kind of made that deal with myself already that if he goes huge, he goes huge, and I've just got to try and find that value elsewhere. Something we've been talking about though lately is how this year feels a little bit different than past years when we're talking about value. And, you know, we always talk about value in terms of cash and points and things like that. But this year, it almost seems like you can look at value in terms of like take Sheezel in the forward line, for example, and the value of Sheezel was how much better he was than everyone else in that line. So I think probably the play in hindsight was, even though we say don't pay up for those top end guys, probably the play in hindsight was starting Nick Daicos at the beginning of the season. And I reckon now, if you haven't gotten him in at this stage, I won't say don't go out and get him, especially if you were a Goulden owner and you've still got a ton of cash in the bank, maybe you can make that work. I wasn't a Goulden owner, so I actually don't have a giant surplus of cash that I can kind of throw at that. So for me, I think I'm just going to have to skip Nick Daicos, take on the pain, and hope that the trade-ins that I do from here on out can serve me well enough to keep moving up the ranks.
Yeah, I think that thing about Daicos having the buyer, you'd hope that your midfielder across the 4 games or whatever scores enough points to outweigh that game that he didn't play. Unfortunately for me, I had Goulden, so I probably should have, in an ideal world, I would have gone Goulden to Daicos, but I also lost Petraka, I lost Rosie, and there's someone else as well, so it wasn't to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I've got Parish there, and I got 500k still left over. Like I could just do a rookie shuffle this week and go Parish up today, which you feel really good. But I just feel like I can't do it just yet. I got to try and move around this. I've missed the good scores, and I'll try and attack round. And Jared Berry tagged on the week? Oh, Naya. Did a reasonable job for a lot of the. I think they dropped the tag in the last quarter. You would imagine that he'll go to Nick Daicos on Thursday night, and that's the hope that non-owners have, is that he drops a low ton or a 90, and then you're fine. But obviously, owners of him will hope that he doesn't get a tag once again. I do have a super chat there as well from Paps Van Bagzio, which we'll get to very, very well towards the end of the show. But thank you for putting the super chat there. We'll keep kicking through this game. Obviously, Lockie Whitfield. And that's another thing, right? If you don't have Whitfield, don't have Nasiah, they're both going to be underpriced post their buy. Do you have the money to upgrade to one of those guys? If not, try and get both of them in. That'd be something else I'd be considering as well, before you pay up for Nick Daicos. Josh Daicos, obviously very good as well, 120. I guess just watch to see if there's any injury to come out of that. He looked fine. He played at the game. He looked fine. So I don't anticipate there'll be any issues there, but just something just keep an eye on in case something does pop up late. Finn Callan, 116 as well, was very good. Lockie Ash with a 104, still tonned up there as well. And Dan Houston, a little bit quiet, 78. A few people were frustrated by that, but he went off, I think, last 6 minutes of the game when junk time was on, which he does every week. But just a little bit unlucky this week. Lower score. We've seen Dan Houston do this in the past, so I wouldn't be too stressed just yet. But another couple of 70s in a row may see you want to look to jump off. Maybe one of Whitfield and the side post that ran for by as well. And I believe that was... Oh, and also, the probably last one, Tom, Oscar Steen came in and rucked. It was clear plan. Quarter 1, quarter 3, he was the main ruck. Quarter 2 and 4, Darcy Cameron was the main ruck. I guess Darcy Cameron owners have probably got to trade out of that now. But Steen, downgrade from Vicentini, is that something that you'd potentially look at this week?
Possibly. Given we still have Milan Murdoch probably to use as a loop for the next week or 2 or 3. You could look at doing that if you've got, like I say, you've got a Vicentini like I do. I wouldn't be doing it from a Zakastelski. At least I've got that one right. Because you're not really making much cash from that. It just seems like almost like a waste of trade. Zakastelski can be your enjoyable red dot loop forevermore for the rest of the year, given Brisbane will play some early games. But yeah, you can definitely do it. I'm not only if you're going to get enough cash to do some decent stuff on the other end. However,
There's a couple.
if Gardner is injured, I know Gardner went off late in that game.
He's out for a couple of months, I think. Collarbone, I think they said.
Yeah, so maybe, but Harris Andrews is there to come back this week. His ban is over now, so that might just be a straight swap. But we'll see.
Yeah, is it over now? I thought he's had one more. So he had one more week because it's a 3-game suspension.
Oh yeah, no, sorry,
Yeah.
one more.
He's got one more week.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that might be the case. But moving to his team though, in Brisbane, St Kilda Brisbane. Obviously, Brisbane getting the win in that one. Jared Berry did top score with that 132. I was glad to have him in a draft league that we're in. Jesse, very happy with that score. Will Ashcroft, Jesse, 120. Obviously, you're the Brisbane man. I don't want to say saved, like he didn't save, right? He's on 80 at 3/4 time, right? But that massive last quarter got him to that 120. McCluggage, I think, is one more week away. I think he'll miss this upcoming week, but then he might be back the week after, or maybe miss one more. But what are your thoughts on Will Ashcroft as an option? Who we just over $1 million, and we're talking about looking for guys maybe that 900K million. Is Will Ashcroft someone that you could consider, or?
So I'm in a chat with a couple of mates, and we were talking about Will Ashcroft this weekend. And in the first half, I was kind of in. I was sort of like, I actually might trade him in next week, because if I could do a Will Ashcroft, then there's a couple of budget forwards that I'm looking at to fix track up that I could pair him with and kind of do almost like a sideways and an upgrade. But then quarter 3 came around, and Will Ashcroft did what Will Ashcroft does best, and he went missing for like 15 minutes. And then, as you said, he came back in quarter 4 and just exploded. And he's a very confusing young man. I think the trouble with Will Ashcroft, and Cayman and I I was on the Will Ashcroft journey last year, and it was really, really frustrating, because I look at him as a player who has all the capacity in the world to be probably close to a Nick Dacos level fantasy player. But I think in Brisbane's system, there are just so many proficient users of the footy. Like not even elite tier guys. Like once you move on from Lachie Neale, Hugh McCluggage, who's not even in the team at the moment, Will Ashcroft, Josh Dunkley. Once you move on from those guys, we've still got Jared Berries. We've still got Levi Ashcroft. We've got, obviously Dan Annable and all those guys. So we've got all these guys who are just really good with the football, and he doesn't need to be switched on all game. So I think if you trade in Will Ashcroft, he will give you some ceiling scores like he did this week. But I think you're also kind of strapping yourself in for a 65 here, a 75 there, a 99, 103, 105, a 132, and then a 66. And it's just going to be this kind of journey. So I want to trade him in, but it scares me.
Yeah, $1 million for you. You want consistency. And if you're going to get some 60 every now and again, you're probably thinking maybe there could be others, but he's an option if you do want to consider as well. Collingwood coming up on Thursday night. Jack Sinclair, another good score once again with a 106. He was very good there. Nasai Wang in the middle, I think we are a pretty big target for a lot of people. He'll dip below $1 million this week, which if you asked everyone at the start of the season, can you get Nasai with a 9 in front of his name there, you'd be pretty keen to be looking at that. So I think he's an option to be looking at for sure. Zorko 95, just Max Hall. Really? Why have you got to, like, it wasn't a tag. It wasn't a hard tag. It was just a soft one. But every time Zorko went to wrap around, Max Hall was running around with him. And I was like, mate, go in the midfield, do your thing and go away. So, but
I
95.
I think other coaches might start using this kind of tag, kind of a soft run with cool tag with one of your better players who can hurt the other way. So to say, we're going to run with you, but then we're going to try, but we want to get the ball and we want to hurt the other way. It's almost kind of what Finn O'Sullivan's doing for North at the minute. It's like, I'm going to stand with you and make sure you take out your strengths, but then hurt the other way. So it might not be on Zorka. I'm just talking competition-wide. That coach might look at this kind of tag and be like, okay, maybe it's something we can deploy against these super uncontested outside kind of players who are really damaged by foot.
Yeah, well, let's hope not, because I know I was one of the people that jumped on Zorka at 1.132
so did I.
and I could have just spent what 50K and got Nick Dacos and not had to worry about the dilemma of bringing him in or not. But no, that is fine. A few other solid scores there, but we will move over to the Freo and Richmond game. They're Freo big winners here. And bloody hell, Chris, bloody Caleb Sarong saved that score. He was looking not great at halftime, but pretty good third quarter and a very big last quarter. So what did he have in that? So he had 85 points in the second half to get that score. Is this just, would you be still considering Sarong as an option? Do you think he's that guy that will have these decent scores but still tag and Freo's game style? Is there any sort of change with the Freo game style from what you're seeing?
Well, I have him just because of my purple glasses, and it's hard because if I was an opposition team, I would tag him. So he runs that risk every week. He often starts the season really well, so I feel like he usually starts and then he'll have a down period. I think it's probably. He's a more consistent scorer than Will Ashcroft, I think, as Jesse was kind of alluding to, but I think you will still ride that wave of some good scores and some stinkers as well. I think the 2 goals as well was interesting. I think one of the things that Freo have struggled recently is having midfielders that score goals. So I don't know if that's going to be him getting swung slightly forward to rest or if that kind of thing. So I think he's cheap, and maybe he's going to be my day cost take on, because if you can get a few more 120s, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be someone in that 900k range when we're looking for a little bit of value there. Is in that midfield. Josh Tracy, geez, what a player he is. If he's not in the conversation with Thilthorpe and Darcy, he should definitely be in amongst that, because he is one hell of a player. Good score. If you got him in draft, be very, very happy. Tim Taranto, back-to-back scores of 114. Still just a bit of a worry that with Richmond there, I think he'll be in the convo as well with Sarong and Ashcroft, who have a few 110s, 120 odd, lower hundreds, and we have a couple of 60s or 80s in a row. So if you want to take those midfielders, Taranto could be another one you look at. Shea Bolton, 112, another good score from him, 33 disposals. I wonder if that could be close to a career high, I'd imagine, for him there. And then Luke Traynor was the defender for Richmond, apparently, that popped this week. He got 28 touches for a 102. Nicely done there. Short and Brayshaw both with 93. Jackson with 81 there. 1 goal, 4. That could have definitely been a much bigger day for him there. And then Murphy Reed, 71. And Sam Grill with a 68. Alrighty, moving to the next game, which is was one hell of a game. Tell you what, I heard the Benny Hill music every now and again playing during this one. The Bombers and North Melbourne here, and we had some massive scores from some North players, starting with Harry Shees at 136. And that included 2 long bench stints in the first half. So to still get that was very, very impressive there. And Luke Parker, 135 there. I think it was in the draft league. I had Fiorenzi's a late out. And I went to waivers and thought, Luke Parker's sitting on the waivers. I'll pick him up. So probably the best ever draft move I've ever made off of the waivers there. Tom, as the non-LDU owner on here with a 125, obviously Jesse and Chris very, very happy. Is he a target?
No, he's not. This was against Essendon.
You didn't even give the listeners any sort
no.
Maybe,
and he's my boy. He's my boy. I love him so much. I love LDU so much. He's one of my boys. He's just he played Essendon. And I think that is, look at what all the Port boys did last week. Look at what a lot of the North guys did this week.
They got dogs this week. Oh, geez.
They got
that could be blood.
Yeah. Like that is if you want. Like I'm looking at Bont this week. Like I'm looking at trying to get that sugar hit match up to start, because Essendon are horrible. That might be our 3rd win of the season. Like it's, and so for me, no, you can't do LD. You can. Who am I to tell you? I'm 20 odd K. But for me, it's a no for LDU. If you've got him, you're not trading him out. Great starting pick. I'm not trading into him.
Yeah. Coll McKercher, Jesse. I think that if you've got Parrish, is that just the most obvious? Put Grill into your midfield and go Parrish to Colby, because Colby's got this role and it looks pretty bloody good.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit tempted to actually trade into Colby this week, but I just didn't. I didn't have the. I didn't have the bravery to do it. Yeah, I think you absolutely can, and Colby's probably in my initial plans this week. I'd be targeting guys like Whitfield coming off the bye. So looking for a budget guy. All of a sudden we have all these budget options. We kind of like didn't have budget options. Now all of a sudden all these mid prices are coming out of the woodworks. And I think if Colby's got that role that we all started him because we thought he'd have at the beginning of the year, then if you held him, great. If you didn't hold him, then, well, the logic still kind of remains, I suppose. And I think the return of a George Wardlaw probably even strengthens that. Georgie Wardlaw's kind of back into the midfield. I actually think even though it was Essendon that they played, and that is definitely a huge reason why LDU did really well, I also think the injection of George Wardlaw into the midfield gave guys like LDU space to get more plus sixes and things. And I think Colby can probably flourish in the back line. So I don't know for sure, but I'd love to. I think it'd be a bit of fun to trade into him, and must be really frustrating for coaches who jumped off that train to see it finally happen.
Yeah,
I feel like his preseason was interrupted though. So there was anyone who started him, I think, was probably running a bit of a gamble and hoping that he was going to hit it. Like he didn't get a full preseason, but he's definitely. I think Tom's thing about LDU, I think, might help with McKercher as well. Like it was Essendon. I reckon you can probably, especially his price, you can probably wait a week. And if he gets another good score, and you say George Wardlaw in the midfield, which pushed him back, if he stays there, then 100%, I think we all launch into him.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about that Colby role is that it did change in the second half. So in the first quarter, he had no CBAs. Second quarter, 29%. Third quarter, 43%. And then 60% in the final quarter. Like he definitely had that halfback role first in that first half. And it was absolutely awesome to see. And I was so hot to bring him in. And then that midfield role just started, and that going slightly forward of the ball started again. I'm like, is that what they want? Was it playing off halfback for minutes and to ease him in with that instructed preseason? And that they want him as this mid-half forward hybrid, kind of him and Sheasel in this kind of ball users in the forward half kind of thing going on. And they moved Parker back, and Blue Myers has come into the side, who I thought was horrible by foot, by the way. So I'm actually going towards the watch one more week. But if you're shopping in the 750 region, he's the best option. So you can definitely go. And that Tog was back up and getting more towards what we need him to be to be a consistent scorer around that 90 region, which is what we want.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just even more keen because I've already got him, but I think he's like one of the best trading targets this week, and I'd be jumping on. I've watched him like an absolute hawk the last 2 weeks, and this week there was one quarter where he had a couple of bench stints, which was the third quarter. So he's almost gone from having 3 quarters of limited game time, 2 last week, and now 1 this week. So I think this week coming up, he'll be full steam ahead. He went into the midfield in the last 3 quarters. Did score 39 points in the last quarter as well with a few of them, but he pretty much didn't see, but then he went back behind the ball. I know he took a few kick-ins as well in these quarters. So I'm really keen on him, and he's got Carlton this week, which I think could be another good score coming once again. Who else we got here in this one? Who was I going to talk about next? Caldwell, another lower score, 86. I just think it's the Bombers. Roberts, 82. Merritt got clamped by Finn O'Sullivan. And then Darcy Parish, I think we have to jump off. He's not going to get the scores. And he saved that score to get the 73. Had a few lucky things go his way in that last quarter to get to that score. So I think he's got to go. Tom Blamires, very good score as well with the 75. 75? And then, geez, feel for those coaches that jumped on Tristan Sherry, or as a few people are calling him in the live chat tonight, Sherry Ball. Because it's not Cherry Ball, Sherrible, because he was bad, very bad. 100 points less this week, pretty much, than last week. And not only go with that, so you miss the 150, you trade into a 50, and now you cop a suspension, which is going to be 2, 3, 4. How long? I don't even know how long the suspension is going to be, right? So it's been 20-something years since I've seen something like this, something like wiping blood on someone's face happen. And I think Taezer sent into a group. There's actually a criminal charge in Melbourne for doing that. So who knows what's going to happen with this? But I think you'll be having a bit of time on the sidelines for Big X, unfortunately, there. for those that jumped on him.
Lucky North Melbourne don't get night games, so it won't be if he gets tagged.
Yeah, exactly right. And then Zach Johnson, who I know some of you were keen on, but 32, I think, just with the Bombers, that you're not going anywhere near anyone. I think Jacob Farrar is probably the one that you could maybe look at. 66, had a good last quarter to get to that, but I think only one of his touches were ineffective. So he was quite good by foot. Maybe they try and get the ball a bit more in his hands because he seemed like the only one that could kick for that Bombers team last night there as well. So it could be someone that you do look to downgrade to there. Moving to the final two games and moving to Port Adelaide West Coast, and West Coast with a win. Well done, Tommy, still cheering there. Going to the scores here. So it was Kane Farrell who was the top scoring there, 109, and Jace Burgoyne 100. But besides that, that was it. No more tons to speak of from this game there. So Jason France was pretty solid. He had the 19 CBA, so he's on track still for forward status. So could he be someone, Jesse, that you jump on early? If he's on track forward status, got Richmond Saints next two. No Rosie. Could you jump early?
Oh, I couldn't. No. I don't. We K-Man always describes Port Adelaide players as patches. Like Patches O'Houlihan, like they show up from time to time and then they'll just kind of stuff you. Jason Horne-Francis, I don't think so. I don't think the role that he's got in the team is particularly family friendly. So no, I'm good.
Yeah, I think as well. If you're trying to get him as a forward and he plays midfield the next 2 weeks, then he's not going to get that. You're going to end up with him in your midfield.
Yeah, he's the one I think you weighed on, I think. And I think, Jesse, did you say family friendly or do you mean fantasy friendly? I thought you said...
I meant fantasy friendly. If I said family friendly.
Well, maybe it's not family friendly because
if
you're yelling at the screen saying get in the midfield or stay focused on DPP, your family gets annoyed, so maybe it isn't family friendly. Tell you what, who's pretty bloody good, Tom. I'm going to go to you for this guy. So I know you didn't start him, but Willem Dersma, 86. He had like a 4-point first quarter, was just nowhere, and then just got involved. And tell you what, he's got a bloody foot on him, that's for sure.
He is good at football, and it was a mistake for me not to start him. I didn't realise how much he was going to be wanting the ball. He always runs into space. He always wants the ball. And I didn't watch this game. I was driving back from the south coast of WA today. But like just end of last week, popping up for +6s in jump time. Like that's what we want in a footballer, and he could be a fantasy player going forward. Would I trade him in now?
No.
Lockout's
You missed it.
Lockout's listed. He is priced at 5. No, it's 515, so it's more than 500k.
Too expensive.
It's unfortunately too expensive. But everyone who started him, which I think is the rest of the comp, he did good.
Because I remember Taezer saying a couple of weeks ago, saying that he wasn't quite sure just with that role. But I've been fairly keen for a lot, saying that West Coast want to get in the ball. Like they put in positions to get him involved. And today was just another one. Like he took intercept marks in defence. He took a mark forward to kick the goal from it. Kicked 1 goal 3. So that could have easily been a ton on another day. But yeah, very happy with that 86. I think a lot of us will be. Zach Butters copped a bit of Dev Rob attention throughout the game. Not too heavy, right? So 30 touches, which is great, but only 86. Only 1 mark, 1 tackle. That was the big thing that was missing from this game. Butters be fine. We're not too worried. He's got Richmond this week. Maybe Ross might go to him at times, but I think he'll be fine. They're just a lower score for him. Jack Watkins, Chris, could he be someone? Is it too late to jump on him? Because he had another solid role again. Started really well, went quite in patches, but could he be someone that you downgrade to make a bit more money?
408k. I think it's, I mean, if you make 240k if you went from Tanner Brun to him, but I don't know if is he gonna get the roles, because they did have, obviously losing to the Eagles, who are no Premiership favourites right now, Tom. But I feel like Wines was in the crowd not playing, had 30 odd in the sound force. So he'll be in next week. So will that have any impact on his scoring potentially? I think most of these rookies, when they get north of 400k, I think you kind of have, unless they're going to be like a 90-point scorer every week. I think you've probably missed the boat. Like your Blamire is 412k. Somehow Carroll is 479k, so he's definitely someone I need to get rid of. Which maybe Carroll could go to Watkins, but it's a sideways. I'm actually going to get. I'm not going to get a lot of benefit from it. So if we think Watkins is going to be their mid, I mean, he's got 47 and 95 and a 73, but he's also played North, Essendon, and Eagles. So there's your three probably easiest games to play.
He's got Richmond and St Kilda, right? So he's still continuing.
Maybe you do cash in on him because he's got two more easies, and then he hits Hawks.
His break even is minus 22. With his break even being minus 22, I don't mind it.
That's huge.
If he's going to get
a couple more 70s.
Well, yes. We saw the two sides. We saw the first quarter going 39 at the quarter, and then scored 30 points for the rest of the game. And we saw someone else in this game, Josh Lindsay. We saw basically the same thing.
Well, yeah. So that I was going to ask you about him next, right? Because he's still 350k. A lot of people did trade off of him last week. One of those included. He's someone I'm looking at bringing back in because he didn't have a great last quarter. I think he had only 2 points or something like that. But he was using the ball really well all game. The commentators kept mentioning how good he was. He never should have been dropped, right? We never should have been in this position. We never should have had to trade him out because he never should have been dropped. So, Tom, everything's going rosy at West Coast, but someone made a doozy with that one because he never should have been dropped there. But the
one worry with him, and it's the reason why he was dropped, is we were too small against Gold Coast round one. Port don't have a lot of experienced tolls, so we could match up with Tyler Young and a mixture of Jinby and Hoff, and we managed to get the win out of it, with Shanahan going back if needed. If we
Sydney this week, you told the players there.
And that's my worry, is if we need another tall back in that side, you're not dropping Liam Bacon, you're not dropping Liam Duggan. Whether I would or not as a fan, I don't care. The coach isn't going to do it. So Lindsay is the first player out of that, in my opinion. So that's why he was dropped, rightly or wrongly. And obviously, he's so highly thought, they've got him straight back in rather than bringing in a key back. But Sydney next week, do they want another key back? I don't know at this stage. If Harry Edwards passes concussion, I know they're being very careful with him because he had 2 in 3 weeks.
Maybe Sandy Brock comes in though, because he was the one we expected to come in for this week. But maybe they need that extra tool for next week because Sydney's got a few of those tools like McDonald, Kerno, McLean play. So
Amati as well. So that's just my one. Yeah. That's my worry. But he's done no harm of getting that locked in, and we're going to see teams. If he's named, you can definitely bring him in. If you're not going to bring in a tall against Sydney, then you're not going to bring in a tall, and he's just in the side until he gets dropped for playing reasons.
Yeah, I think I just leaned to Watkins for 40 something came more with the Richmond and St Kilda matchups, but I think both could be downgrade coach you look at. Yeah, exactly right. So you could look at one of those guys as downgrade there. Going through here as well. Mentioned obviously Jocelyn's there. Will Brodie 56. Just I thought he was quite invisible to be fair. I know he had a pretty low tog if I'm not mistaken. I barely noticed him really on the ground. Yeah, he had 42%. It's actually, to be fair, the points per minute is not too bad, which is not a bad thing. But you think he would be the one that makes way for Wines. Well, I think Wines comes in unless obviously Radigali was injured. So do they shuffle things around? Does Lukosius go back and they bring Wines in or something like that? So we'll just have to see how Port go. And then, Dev Rob, obviously 41, not a great score. And we're expecting him to have at least a week on the sidelines with a suspension, which is not ideal for all of us that have him there as well. Josh Lai, 53, not too bad. Probably not quite enough as a downgrade, but he's really cheap, right? So if you want to go for someone, he could be the one that you do look at. And moving over to the final game, which was Carlton and Melbourne. And Jesse, he's done it again. You mentioned it before. Max Gawn, 141, 58 hit-outs. This guy just does not stop. Like, it's just ridiculous, right? I think a lot of us that have already got English and McAndrew, I don't think are really looking at paying up so much for a ruck. But if you've got Tristan Sherry or Darcy Cameron, do you just pay up for Max Gawn and just be done with it?
We were having this exact conversation, Cameron and I, today via chat. I think he messaged me and he was like, screw it. Do we just get Max Gawn in? I don't know, man. Maybe. Probably, I mean, if you got Tristan Sherry, yeah, that's probably what I do, to be honest. I've got Luke Jackson and Brodie Grundy, which scares the hell out of me going into best 22. I'm not confident at all in that combo, so it's super tempting to trade out of a Brodie Grundy, but I don't think I can do it. I'm not sure yet. I just think there are too many other things I got to fix up, and that can put me a trade behind. So it's tricky, but it's really tempting, isn't it? It was around the 3rd or 4th +6 that I decided to go out and mow the lawn instead of watching the game. And then when I checked the AFL app and saw that Jack Steele, who I also faded preseason,
that'll do it to
also killing it. I just totally disassociated from reality and took my aggression out on the grass. So yeah, I don't know. I guess you can do it. Why not? Have fun. It's fantasy.
Yeah, you were that angry that you did. You were that angry that you didn't just cut the lawn. You dug up all the lawn. And you just made it dirt. You're that angry. That's what you did.
I dug it up. I scalped it all the way down.
But yeah, no, he's just incredible. Another 141, and yeah, I think you can definitely go there. Something I'll look at in a couple of weeks. It maybe instead of going for Nick Dacos, maybe I'll just go set and forget Ruck there and go have English and Gawn as the two. Chris, Jack Steele, geez, he looks really good. Eye test, everything looking great. 16 tackles today. He looks like the Jack Steele of old. If you don't have him, yeah, exactly. And this thing, right, 135, and we mentioned before about the breaks in terms of players getting stuck on the bench. In that second quarter, he got stuck on the bench. I reckon he had a 16-minute bench stint. He only had 41% game time in that quarter. The other quarters were about 80%, which is, I think, what he normally should be at. So his game time will look low for those, but the points per minute is incredible. Is he someone that if you didn't own him, you'd be targeting him?
He's over 1 million now. I mean, he's all 3 games. He's 72, 72, and 74. So his time on ground is actually quite low. I'm not sure how it compares to other mids. But it's that, and it's also, you see that first game of the season against St Kilda, and he got 3 tackles and 20 disposals. So you look at that game and that's terrible. And then you go back him up with the next 2 games where he's got 16 tackles, then he had 9 tackles, and even the marks as well. He was getting around it. So I think he's great. He's another one who he's averaging 119 for the season. So I don't think he's going to do that for the rest of the season at all. But is he another one that you can go, well, I've got him. He's cheaper than Dacos. I don't know how much the benefit there's about. Would it be about 100 grand, 200 grand cheaper than Dacos?
150. Yeah, he plays Essendon in a fortnight. Yes. If you need convincing, he's got Gold Coast, so I think it'll be a decent matchup for him. He can just go and stand behind Noah Anderson and get tackles all day. Because that's what he did today. I watched the second. All he did was just stand behind the hit 2 target and tackle it.
It's great.
It was great. It was great to watch. From a fantasy point of view. So I think he is, if you don't have Steele, he's the kind of guy I'm looking at to bring in. That next, if you're not prepared to pay up for that, what I was talking about earlier, if you're not prepared to pay up, these are the kind of guys who you can get for 150, 200, 250k cheaper, who can hopefully match it-ish score-wise, and that's how you catch up, because you get that premium off quicker. You get that rookie off quicker. So and that's how it might work for me in the past. Whether 2026 is a different year, and the best guys are so good, you just got to get them. I'll tell you in September.
I mean, yeah, he could put up an 80 next week, and you put $1 million into an 80 scoring player, and especially
Dacos could score 80.
Well, exactly, yeah. And if Dacos gets tagged next week and gets 90, we're all doing a lap of honour then.
Exactly. He's very good.
I'm going to cherry pick this stat again. I said it last week, but over Jack Steele's last 9 quarters, he's averaging 34 points. So we'll definitely take that, which is an average of 137.8 per game. So that's not cherry picking stats at all. But yes, no, very, very good. Cozzy Pickett, a few people went there as a bit of a unique. Be very, very happy with that 134 that he got. went absolutely massive. Sam Walsh again, 105, solid. Had a quiet start to the game, got going more in the second half. -8 after the game is just champion data. If you're going to take points away, just don't worry about doing a post-game update. You can add points, all good, but don't take points. We hate you for that. And then Caleb Windsor, just, whatever, like 53-point quarter, just unbelievable. Congrats, Jordox. I'm happy for you for the win, but I'm not happy that I lost. So, not great.
72% game time for Caleb Windsor.
Yeah, he got, I think, second and fourth quarter, he had 2 stints in the quarters, or maybe it might have been first and third, maybe. But there's a couple of quarters he had 2 bench stints instead of the one. So maybe that's just Melbourne's rotation moving forward. That could be something there. But if you own, you hold. Obviously, after that, you hope for another couple of scores like that. But if you don't have him, I'm not looking at him just with what I saw in the first.
It's his first season in the midfield. He's gonna have lower game time. That's just like to make sure he doesn't die at the end of games. To build that tank. So but the role's fantastic, and that third, even the fourth quarter as well. Just there is a player in there. It's just whether it can be consistent enough and not against the second worst team in the ladder, second half Blues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Carlton always take the second half off from what we've seen the first few weeks. Jagger Smith, 85. Yeah, he's just a very, very good footballer. I don't know if he's actually going to be getting. He might get forward status still, but it's going to be touch and go because he's playing a fair bit of mid-time. So something to watch. We hope that he gets forward status. Can we just put him there and not think twice about it? But just something to be watching for there. Salem lower score there with a 68. Xavier Lindsay, 67. No, Taezer still has him there, but I think he'll be looking to move him on this week. And I know that Jath got injured, so just something to watch with Melbourne's defence, see how that all shapes up. But that's pretty much all of the players from these games. So we do have a couple of super chats, which we'll do just before we do wrap up. So we did have Paps Van Bagzio said at the start, ranked 1,025. Nicely done, mate. Areas I've never seen before. Thoughts on what to do next? Fix up red dots or upgrade a Parish to a premium mid, 335k in the bank? Chris, where would you be leaning here? Because I think Parish does have to go, but red dots also need to go.
Depends. So, like I said,
how many you've got?
Like if you've got 22 players that are available, I guess that's your first thing. You want to make sure that you've got players. So in round 5, you're going to hit that with, as far as you're aware, obviously, bullets happen between then. But 335k in the bank and to get rid of Parish, I think would feel pretty nice at that kind of rate. It depends what they've got around them. But Parish is losing cash. So you've probably got to dump him because he's averaging 70 and losing money. That's a bit of a disaster.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably look at going Parish to Colby, put Grew in the midfield, or can you go red dot to a rookie that's playing and then go Parish up to someone you like? That would be the two probably things I'd be looking at there as well. But yeah, Parish has got to go because he's the one that's bleeding cash on your field. Tim Ashworth with another super chat. Thank you, mate. Saying, who do we trade? Petrarca, Parish, Brun, or Carroll? So, Tom, I think Petrarca's got to be the one that's got to go unless we hear some magical thing that's happened in the week that he was only like a week or two away, which I don't think that's going to happen. So I think Petrarca's probably one, but is Parish next? Is he the next one?
Very much so. I think Broom gets a stay of execution. He gets, you had 60% TOG. We hate that. But his break even is still low. His break even is still 39, which for him, who's priced at about 65, is still lower than what we expect from him. He's still probably got 100, maybe even 150k more cash to make, and we don't want to go too it. I don't mind going a little bit early on these players. We've got to let these players make the cash that they can make before we can start upgrading them to fully fledged premiums. Because if we start jumping off these too early, then we're not going to have the cash to get all of our rookies up to premiums on field. So it's Petrarca, massive gap, Parish, massive gap, Broom. Don't mind trading Carroll's above Broom, very much so.
Yeah. I think Petrarca's 4 to 6 weeks away, according to the AFL website. So I think you probably need to get rid of Petrarca. You could have ridden him this week because of his bye, so he was never playing anyway. But you probably got to move him on. Parrish, yeah, as I said, he's burning cash. And yeah, Carroll, I'm not happy with him anyway. So I think you'd probably hold Brun out of those ones.
Yeah, exactly. And Carroll's on bye this week as well, right? So you wouldn't have had him this week anyway. Could be a handy loop if you're looping a couple of rooks as well. So yeah, I'd be holding.
True.
But and he did a couple of nice things in that game that I hadn't seen the first couple of weeks. So I think he'll hold his spot. I think Saints not only got blown out, but they were good for a big portion of that game. So I think he'll hold his spot there. But yeah, 30 break even for Carroll. He'll be someone that we're probably looking to trade in the ends by. But if you can trade him, great. Get off him. Next, we've got one super chat from Fallen Wrath as well, saying he meant Windy to Nick Dacos, he says here. So he's going Windy to Dacos and then Petrarca to, I don't know who Connor is. Maybe he means Colby. Maybe it goes like Windy to Dacos, Petrarca to Colby, Bolton, Fraser. Or does he mean McDonald? Maybe he means McDonald.
It's either McDonald or Budderick.
I'm assuming it's McDonald, yeah. So I'm assuming it's Petrarca to McDonald, Bolton, Fraser, and then Windy to, he says, Nick Dacos. So Tom is a Windy owner. Is Windy to Nick Dacos and Petrarca to one of those forwards interest you?
You're going to find out in the next 5 minutes that my early trade plans are to hold Parrish and get rid of Windy. I think Windy has just done his job, and I want the extra guy this week.
Yeah. And
Shea Bolton's interesting. Because Shea Bolton, so I had him last year in a draft, and I think he averaged about 60 or something like that, and it was shocking. But back-to-back tons, admittedly against Melbourne and Richmond, but Freo want to move the ball quicker. They like him bursting out the middle. He's a forward priced at $7.93. I reckon he could be either he's going to be a bust and he'll average 65 from now on, or he could actually be a good pick to get you jumping up the rankings.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, no, he could be an option. I guess Young's out for another couple of weeks from that hammy, so that could be something to watch for. The other guy I like in that price range that you didn't mention there, Fallen Wrath, is Dylan Moore at 8.18. He's priced around that sort of 83 mark. If you think you can go back to that 90 averaging play, which he has done over the last couple of weeks. He's got 99 in both those 2 weeks. He could be someone that you do look at as well. But yeah, don't mind those trades there. Alrighty, well, because we're doing a Q&A on the Tuesday night, we'll just answer those ones there, and we'll leave for tonight because we already are gone about an hour and 10. So, but no, apologies if we didn't get to your questions tonight. But as always, we are live every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Perth time, answering all your questions ahead of round 4. But if you do want to guarantee answer your AFL Fantasy questions in the meantime, you can head over to patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics there. You can get team reviews. You can get your questions answered there, do a Q&A later in the week. So if you do want to check out that, help split the channel out a little bit and also get more bonus content, then head over to the Patreon link in the description of the video and the podcast. But as we always do on a Sunday night, lockout's just lifted. But what are we potentially looking at doing this week, or what are our Sunday night raid trades? Chris, I'll start with you. Where do you reckon? Oh, maybe the look there is like, oh, maybe he doesn't know what he's got to go.
No, I have no clue right now. I think knowing that Devon Robinson's going to be out makes me I don't want to be feeling Lockie Doverston. So probably looking somewhere around the forward line. Geez. I think it's. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to have to do the social media search, I think, and see what everyone else is doing, because right now, someone's going to have to come up with some good ideas, because I'll look at my team and go, I've got 18 grand in the bank, so whatever I do, it's going to have to be one down, one up. So if a rookie gets named, which would be ideal this week, 230k rookie that's going to have some good job security, that'd be beautiful, and put some cash on someone else. So probably fixing up rookies that aren't going to play. If Dev Robinson gets a couple of weeks for this one, maybe moving him on just to keep that cash generation happening.
Yeah, exactly. Now stay tuned to the social, which we'll get in a sec to see what Chris is doing later on in the week. Jesse, any ideas what you'll be doing?
Well, I got 250k in the bank, and the current rage trade that I've got loaded on my screen is Brodie Grundy to Max Gawn and track to Dylan Moore. more realistically, see, I've also got to deal with Archie Roberts. I got to deal with Darcy Parish. So more realistically, I'll probably move on Tracker and Parish. I do like Dylan Moore. So he's currently in the plans, but there are a couple forwards there. And then Parish, I could maybe get to like, a Jack Steele or one of those midfielders that's kind of around that $1 million mark. I don't mind a Noah Anderson either, but I haven't looked at the math. I don't know if he's value or anything like that. So not quite sure yet.
Yeah. Tom?
I have 400k in the bank as I went down last week. So I have currently got Windy and Petraka to the Bont and Josh Dacos. So I'm bringing it. Bont is a little bit unique, so I don't
Big
mind.
spender.
Yeah, well, I'm bored of being worst on the pod, So I thought I'd try and bring in some points.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. So my moves at the moment will be with Dev Rob out. That's a little bit annoying. It means that I'll have to potentially look at playing one of Lombard or Gallup, but I guess being able to loop is probably helpful. So I might look at doing probably Parish. I'm looking at going Parish down to a Watkins to put on the bench, or Lindsay, one of those two. And I'm actually looking at going Petrarca to Toot Miller is currently the one I'm looking at the moment. Much on track for forward status, around that $1 million mark. I think if I can get him in, that could be someone that could be a good, unique moving forward. But obviously going Parish down, I'll have probably excess money to be able to go and get Nick Dacos. Whether I can then go get Nasai the following week is my plan. If I can go get Nasai and get Nick Dacos, I may do that. But that's just a couple of options I am looking at. So, but yeah, we've arranged to see how we go with trades. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you are tuning in live or on the replay, and you can leave a like on the video. It always does help out the channel a whole bunch if you can do that. And also subscribe. We're just over 400 away from 5,000 subscribers. So legends keep checking out the channel and helping us out. So if you can subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated there as well. 5-star rating if you're on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But Chris, mate, thank you very much for jumping in. Good to have you back on an episode of the pod. Where can the people find you across the socials, and where can they find your team name if they'd like to add you to their foes?
So my team name is still No Idea 5, and my social media, geez, I don't even know what my Twitter is these days. It'll be mostly posting about Manchester United, though, to be honest. I think it's Chris Burnham 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
It is Chris. It is Chris.
Yeah. Well, if you're a fantasy fan and a Man United fan, then definitely give Chris follow, which I'm sure a lot of us got the fantasy there, and me being a Man United fan, I know that the struggles we're going through. So, Jesse, mate, where can the people find you across socials? Where can they find you, your team name for foes? Where can they find the podcast?
So our podcast is called the Contest Fantasy Footy Show. I've had a shameless plug on the screen the whole time. You can follow me on Twitter at Contest Fantasy, and my co-host K-Man at K-Man_TC Fantasy. Come listen to the show. He has two hats, so you listen to him for the advice, and I just kind of talk about movies that I like. So I can give you some help in that department. Also, I just want to plug he has a second podcast also called the Contest Cricket Show. So if you like cricket and you like Seinfeld, he has a lot of fun with that. So yeah, give that one a follow as well. Oh, and Channel is my team name.
Yeah, there you go. Make sure you check it out. I like how you just said, if you want to check it out for cricket and Seinfeld, then you can check that out. That was
it's a real weird mix, but I love it. Yeah.
And Todd, where can people find you across social? Where can they find your team on foes?
Yeah, I'm Pom United still, and I'm Tom_Hales_ on X. Have a lovely week. Hopefully we get less bullets.
Yep. Hopefully. You can find me at BAILSDT across the socials, us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X, and my team is Bales Nails. Guesties is Guesties Gerbils. Taezers is Taezers Titans there. So make sure you guys go check those and add them to your foes there as well, along with all the other podcast team names there. As I said, like, subscribe, 5-star rating and review, all that good stuff. You can help us out. That'd be much appreciated. We'll be back on Tuesday for our Q&A at the usual time there, and I'll be back for my team review tomorrow and all the usual content throughout the week. So thanks, everyone. Have a good start to your week. We'll chat to you guys soon. See ya.
Bye bye.
See ya.
Yeah.